Okay, folks, I promised you another video of the situation that is happening with the BC wildfires. A number of evacuees, not only just from Cache Creek or Ashcroft. Now we're hearing 100 Mile House, 103, 108, and we're just waiting for Williams Lake, which they are on a minute by minute notice of evacuation. We're sitting here watching people, and you can't see it right now, but people coming in left and right. They're walking up these stairs. They're going into into the check-in area. They're little yellow envelopes that like beggars looking for a place to stay, and this is what we're dealing with. And this video here is about not so much the frustration of the Red Cross, which I've already addressed in the previous videos, because that hasn't changed. We have no help, no funds, nothing whatsoever to have any dignity to help us. I mean, we're living paycheck to paycheck. Now the paycheck is gone. This one is more about what people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, the frustrations of living in this type of a situation with no information, no help where we are now. And I'm going to preface this, and I'm going to say, look, we are up here in Sun Peaks. It's not the worst place to be. We could have been in a lot, more difficult situations. There are people that are billeted out to strangers' houses. There are people that are sitting in gymnasiums, on cots and things. So we're not complaining about that. So let's get that straight. It's not the worst place to be, but it's also not the place that we want to be. Because, quite frankly, where do we want to be is home. So I'm going to just talk to a couple of people here, and we're going to ask just ask them what is going on, what are people dealing with just on a day-to-day basis. We're talking about daycare, we're talking about pets, we're talking about funds, we're talking about just being acknowledged. Okay, so let's go right here again. And your name?
My name is Alex.
Alex.
Yes.
Okay, so you were telling me earlier, and I just want to touch on this for a second before we get anything else, about the daycare, how they they helped you out, and
Yeah.
let's be honest.
Again, the community of Sun Peaks has been fantastic for us.
Yes.
They do have a daycare center here operated by the ski hill. And I know of one of the evacuee families here with a younger daughter. They put the child in for the afternoon care for just something to do, anything to do, hopes to contact other kids locally, that kind of thing. And despite the $20 fee for the afternoon, the daycare refused to accept her money. They understood the position she was in and said, we'll take care of this. So it's really appreciated to see that support from the community of Sun Peaks. But otherwise, when it comes to emergency services, we feel forgotten up here. I mean, I see a lot of posts and a lot of social media information about supplies and stuff coming into Kamloops. So much stuff they don't know where to put it or what to do with it, while you've got at least 100 families in this hotel alone that don't have access to those supplies because they're an hour away.
Right, and 100 families, we're talking, families, not individuals. 100 families translates into
to
2, 3, 4, 500 people. I mean,
unfortunately,
who knows?
I'm aware of a few families already who had to vacate lodging that they had here in Sun Peaks, and without knowing where they were going to end up. simply because they could not afford to stay here with such limited facilities. I mean, the place is fantastic, the community is great, but there's no bank here. We don't have access to any funds. There's no support services. We don't get fuel vouchers, so you can't be driving up and down on a regular basis. So it comes to a certain point where the cost of, despite that we have these great locations, the cost of operating here pushes too many people out.
Okay, so actually, touching on that for a second, one thing that I experienced myself personally when I got here was checking in, and now through no fault of the hotel, it's a policy, so on and so forth. They told me while I was checking in and giving my accommodation voucher, I had to put down a $350 deposit. Now, I don't know if everyone had to do that, but I was not allowed to get my key to my room without putting down $350. Did you experience that, or was that waived for you?
Well, we experienced it in a different fashion. The first night we were here was not covered by ESS. We ended up stuck here on our own.
Right.
So we had to register a credit card to get the room in the first place.
Right.
So I would only presume that deposit was then
Exactly.
handled by the credit card. So, and unfortunately, we ended up going down to ESS the next day, and they absolutely would not backdate any kind of a voucher. So we knew people who were coming in hours behind us with their night paid. But because we didn't have the capacity to line up at MacArthur Island with a child and two animals at 10:30 at night, we're out of pocket for it.
So do you think that, and as I'm going to say again, through no fault of the hotels, because that is a policy, and them not understanding or being made aware of the situation because it was a minute-by-minute fluid emergency, do you think that the majority of people checking in from these small communities that, as I said again, are living paycheck to paycheck, so on and so forth, that they could walk in and put down $350 of their own money just to get a room?
I'd be surprised if some of these people came with anything, even their ID. I understand my situation specifically because I didn't have any paperwork to verify where I was coming from.
Right.
Yet they still reserved us a room.
Yes.
They still put us up and said,
Yes.
look, we'll figure it out. So
Exactly.
they did wonderful for
No,
us. But if you're walking in the door with paperwork verifying that government of BC is covering your room, then a deposit shouldn't be required. I mean,
No, and that's
the
right.
government's if they can pay for the room, they can pay for the deposit.
Well, and like I said, I mean, that was basically the beginning of the entire situation, and it happened, and maybe it's been relaxed now. But that was, my first experience when I came in 2:30 in the morning. I think maybe 3:30. I'm not sure. 5? Oh, I'm not sure. But before I could even get my room key, give me $350. Fortunately, I was able to do that through a credit card. A lot of people were not able to. So anyway, let's get past that.
Yeah. The key thing we got to be looking at here now is we're getting information, and again, not very solid information, anywhere up from a couple weeks to a couple months that we're looking at being displaced from our homes.
Exactly.
So if that's the case, we're looking at on a long-term basis, we need some kind of consistent contact with the opportunities available in Kamloops.
Right,
I've spoken with emergency services both here locally and in Kamloops, and it has been described as a lack of manpower to get support in the village of Sun Peaks.
Okay.
So then I volunteered my own services. Train me, I'll do it.
Right.
Because there are people here who don't have transportation at all. There are people here who have transportation but can't afford the distance to travel all the time.
Okay.
And even members of ESS have told me they don't understand why we would be forced to do so.
Right.
So this is just a bureaucratic issue, and we need to get it sorted out, because even myself, I'm good now, but if you expect me to drive an hour's distance 3 times a week for the next 2 months, I can't afford it either.
Well, and there's not too many people that can. I mean, you're aware that I did an interview with CTV, and I've also been contacted through these videos, actually, KPNW, or I can't remember, an affiliate of Global News, and we did a live interview today, and they were not aware of the situation, and I keep going back on this about the funds that are supposed to be released to us, promised by Christy Clark, this $600, and there was another gentleman on the radio at the same time. People can actually tune into that station and hear his story about trying to contact the Red Cross for 3 days and not being able to get through because of the website. There's no money, there's no nothing
And that
whatsoever.
kind of funds are going to be essential, particularly for people up here. Yes, we're in a beautiful tourism-based
Sure.
village community of Sun Peaks, but they don't really understand. And when you're this isolated, a $4 jug of milk in Kamloops is nearly $8 in Sun Peaks.
Exactly.
The same thing applies for toothbrushes, toothpaste, the kind of stuff that doesn't come in a hotel room.
Yeah, when a
That sooner
toothbrush
or
costs you
later,
$8, you know.
You give us this beautiful facilities, you give us this room, and they've done so much for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're still going to, without some kind of an income, or without the donations that are coming to Kamloops, getting to Sun Peaks.
Have you seen
We're in
any supplies, donations whatsoever coming up to where we are, where approximately, and again, we're talking hundreds of people. Have you seen anything coming up the mountain?
To my knowledge, in the 6 days we've now been here, I have not seen a single donation brought to Sun Peaks that wasn't delivered by the refugees themselves.
Refugees,
By the
evacuees.
Yeah, you sit here long enough, you start to feel that displaced.
You start to feel like a refugee.
Despite
absolutely.
the beauty of this location, this isn't our home.
No, and I mean it's a beautiful place. It's a holiday resort, and like I said, we're better off than a lot of people. We can't deny that, but
It is also different because the reality is I can't walk 2 blocks to a dollar
so
store.
where would you rather be, in paradise right now or back home?
Home, without a doubt.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm just going to scan over here. Might come back to you here in a second, but I'm going to talk to this gentleman here. Okay, your name, sir?
My name is Jeremy.
Jeremy. Okay, and where are you from?
I'm from Cache Creek, British Columbia.
Okay, and what were you doing down there?
Oh, I was working the whole day. I watched the fire actually come up over the hill. Our power cut out about 3 o'clock. We had maybe an hour to get some stuff together. We ran out to Savinaw to go see one of our friends. I got a message while I was still in Savinaw. I was not allowed to return to Cache Creek.
Savinaw, that's what, halfway between...
That's halfway in between Cache Creek and Kamloops.
Correct, okay.
Yeah. So we turned around, there was roadblocks everywhere, there was vehicles lined up and down the highways, all down the middle of the highway was packed, there was people swerving in and out of traffic, trying to pull U's to get back through into Kamloops. No one was allowed in to get anything, no one was allowed out, no one was evacuating, they were all sent over to the community hall while they dropped fire retardant on the whole town. People should have been getting out a lot sooner than that. On the actual evac order, it says, I believe, 4:15.
Okay, just 1 minute. You know what? The fire retardant thing just reminds me of one thing. I'm just going to scan over here for a second, and I'm going to show this. Yeah. There's this beautiful paint job, right? Yeah. This was dropped right on the truck as we were leaving. So, okay, I'm just going to go right back here again. And, okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
So the last people, from what I understand, evacuated about 7 o'clock in the evening. That's when the majority of people were actually evacuated and allowed to leave. Up until then, there was a police roadblock completely blocking off the highway because the flames were pretty much kissing the highway at that point.
Right.
When people did get out, we were told to go to Kamloops. We went to MacArthur Park. We were there for probably about upwards of 9 hours. Us personally, anyways, me and my family, we were there for about 9 hours. Then they sent us up to Sun Peaks because they had room available, and we thought we'd be here for maybe 3 days, and then